Back to the video. So today I've got So You Want to Play Britons, and it's been a while since I've done one of these So You Want to Play videos. In fact, I promised Byzantines, but there's a funny story with that. I'll get into that later. But anyway, we got So You Want to Play Britons this time around, and I'm actually changing the format of this series. So it's going to be once a week, every Saturday now. And the reason I'm able to do this is because I will record it offline. I'm not going to be streaming when I do it. This is completely offline, and I will play the game beforehand. That way, I can give you guys the best commentary, and I'm not focused playing while commentating at the same time. So I can review the recorded game off stream, no distractions, and no distractions of my gameplay commentary. So I want to give you guys raw educational content on how to play the Civ, and hopefully by the end of it, you have a really good understanding of the Civ, how it's played in theory, and how it's played in practice. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to just quickly tell you guys that there's going to be a small sponsored segment in the middle. Instead of us queuing up, it's going to be like 1 or 2 minutes. Highly recommend you guys don't skip it because it helps me out. Helps me advertise for the Tempo sponsors, and they're hooking us up with these tournaments that you guys have been seeing on YouTube over the past couple weeks and on Twitch. And it also gives me a small time segment to advertise my own stuff, like my Discord build orders and whatever else I need to, I need to put out there. So it's a small couple minutes for me instead of waiting in the queue and doing that question and answer. So without further ado, let's hop into it with So You Want to Play Britain. So let's take a look here. No, not that. Technology tree for a step here. So I don't know if I can go to this scene. Would that be better? I think this might be a little bit better. My webcam might block a little bit though. Yeah, let's keep it like this for now. So anyways, Britons are going to be a foot archer civilization, and they've got a few interesting bonuses. So the first one is their town centers cost minus 50% wood in castlage. It's actually a really, really strong economy bonus. It lets you sneak in those town centers on Arabia while mixing in some crossbows. So while doing your crossbow army, you can still mix in some town centers because they're so much cheaper on the wood. And also in maps that are really close, like Hideout and Arena, it lets you go for a fast castle and instantly drop 2 town centers. Very strong eco bonus there. Foot archers, except skirmishers, have +1 range in castle age, and then an extra +1 in imperial age for a +2 total in imp. Very strong bonus. Again, this is pretty much what Britons are known for. In fact, I would actually argue that their castle age crossbows are the best crossbows for one-on-one. For team games, you can argue that Ethiopians have more damage output, but for 1v1, Britons are able to micro your opponent down so easily, and the archers don't really die to skirmishers much because you can easily hit and run, or at least just completely avoid the skirmishers because you have that extra range. Not saying that skirmishers don't counter the archers, but I'm just saying that Briton archers have an easier time dealing with skirmishers and a much easier time dealing with mangonels as well with that extra range. A lot of interesting things come from this one bonus. And then their shepherds work 25% faster. A nice dark age boost. It lets you do 5 on sheep in the early game instead of 6. Let's get that earlier wood income as well for maybe a nice little drush. So not a bad bonus there. Good on Ghost Lake as well, with there's more sheeps in the middle as well. Unique unit is the Longbowmen. This Longbowman is very similar to the crossbow, except it's a little bit different. It has 1 extra attack in Castle Age and 5 extra HP. And in Imperial Age, it also has an extra range when you have Elite Longbow. The downside is that it shoots slower, so it's and you need to mass it from a castle. So there's definitely some trade-offs there. Unique text: Yeoman gives an extra +1 range to foot archer. This actually affects skirmishers. Notice here they said except skirmishers. Here they just said +1 range to foot archers, so it affects skirms. And then it gives your towers +2 attack as well. Not bad. Situations where that's good. Werewolf trebuchets do blast damage, and it gives them 100% accuracy as well. So trebuchets will always win Treb Wars if you have this tech for Britons, and they can also do splash damage on groups of Arbalest or skirmishers. Very, very strong tech. And then their team bonus, arguably one of the best in the game. Archery ranges work 20% faster. Really good for team games on the flank. It helps both flanks, and then in 1v1s, it helps you get those scrims and archers out on the field much earlier, and it lets you mass them up faster in Imperial Age as well. So very, very strong team bonus there. So let's take a look at the tech tree here and see how you'd want to play Britons, in theory here, or ideally. So right away we're noticing that they have full archer line with Arbalest, Skirmisher, and Heavy Cav Archer, missing the hand cannon and missing Thumb Ring. This is more of a balanced thing. So Briton archers, they have a lot of range, but they're missing the Thumb Ring, so they don't have the 100% accuracy, and they don't fire as fast as other archer civs with Thumb Ring. However, the extra range tends to be very, very powerful nonetheless. Their barracks are actually very good. So they've got champions, halberdier, squires, supplies, arson. Everything's teched out there. Very strong barracks line. You'll see that mixing infantry is very normal with Britons. You rarely want to go cav archers. I would say never cav archers because you're missing Thumb Ring, and you're also not benefiting from all the range on your Arbalest that you're getting. The stable, it looks terrible, but it's actually not bad. So Cavalier Knights, they're missing bloodlines, but they have husbandry. And I'll tell you why it's not bad in a second. So again, you're missing Hisar, you're missing Paladin, you're missing Bloodline, some big techs missing. But light cav mixed in the late game can actually be pretty good. And opening Cavalier has its niche uses as well. Because when we get to the blacksmith here, you have fully upgraded cav. If in the blacksmith at least. So the light cav has 60 HP, but at least has the +4 pierce armor. That's very strong for raiding. 2+4, very, very powerful. But first, let's take a look at their siege. So siege for Britons from the siege shop is not very powerful. Onagers, Capram, Heavy Scorpion, it's all mediocre stuff. The only thing that's really, really good is their trebuchets, as you know, with the werewolf tech, that's like their go-to siege. But going Heavy Scorpion from time to time is not bad, and Onager and Capram have their uses as well, but it's not something that's a highlight of their civilization by any means. Full blacksmith, this is amazing for the civ. It's what lets them go for these cavalry options in the late game. And it's also what lets them go for the strong infantry option as well. Champions and halberds will be fully upgraded, which is a very good bonus for the civ. So it's not only an archer civ in the late game. You can mix in some light cav, you can mix in some halberdier. You have some very nice compositions that you can get into. So full blacksmith, very good for Britons. As far as navy goes, they're actually pretty good. They have full tech except elite cannon galleon. They don't necessarily have a lot of good bonuses for water maps besides their shepherd bonus and the TC bonus. But they have a full tech tree, so especially on hybrid maps, they can be very, very dangerous. So keep an eye out for Britons here. And then their university, well, it's pretty good. They're just missing bomber towers and treadmill crane. The rest is standard. Siege engineers combined with werewolf trebs, very powerful siege unit in the late game. And then keep with arrow slits are really good for tower pushing in late game as well when combined with yeoman, the unique tech there. So just moving through here, werewolf, you see the tech cost there and here. So a lot of wood and gold for the tech for the unique techs. And longbowmen here as well. You can definitely see the stats if you guys want to pause. Then going on to the monk tech tree, Britons are not really known for their monks because they're missing very important techs like redemption and atonement, which really help in those cast age monk wars. But as far as mixing into monks to counter some heavy cavalry, they're great at that. They have sanctity, fervor, block printing, theocracy, a lot of the important techs to counter those late game cav if needed. And then here just eco upgrades, missing copper edition and stone shaft mining, not the biggest deal. But very nice eco tech tree overall. So how should you play Britons in general? In general, you want to try to get to crossbows as quickly as possible in Castle Age. Crossbows are their best unit in Castle Age, and it even leads to the best unit in Imp, which is the Arbalest or the Elite Longbow. Elite Longbow being the slightly better overall, but again, I did talk about that trade-off there between those two units. And then once you get to Imperial Age, you have a lot of interesting options. You can all of a sudden go for Cav. Like Cav are pretty good. Cavalier, if you're floating gold, can be decent as well. But then Halberdier is definitely your main unit. Halberdier, you can even mix in some skirms with that extra range. So Briton late game is actually very, very powerful. It's just that they're a bit of a one trick in the early game, like in the mid game, because you kind of have to play into those archers. So good strategies with Britons: rush, fast castle, scouts. Sorry, not scouts. Men at arms into archers. Scouts aren't bad, but then you have to transition archers. You have to go scouts into archers. You can't go scouts into knights. It's not really good with Britons. And basically anything you can do to get you to crossbows in the Castle Age is the best play, and then use that extra range to oppress your opponent in Castle Age. And then you can even mix in some knights or some mangonels in Castle Age to counter his skirms if he goes for mass skirms. And then an imp, like I said, tech tree becomes wide open. Great compositions are like Arbalest / longbow plus light cav plus werewolf trebs. So very, very strong composition. And typically Britons are known as a civ that pushes very slowly and also can defend really, really solidly as well. So they have a slow push. It's hard to push with them, but it's also hard to push them. So that's one key phrase with the Britons, one to remember for sure. As far as what maps are good at, honestly, these days you can favorite maps. So Arabia is probably their go-to, but they're also very strong in Arena. Although they do have a couple bad matchups. On islands, they're not amazing, but they're not terrible. Like we saw, they have their nice tech tree. Steppe, they're passable. Valley, they're passable, but there are better options on these maps. Mega Random, they're not bad. And Acropolis, probably their weakest map because their cavalry isn't the best in Castle Age. But definitely Arabia is their go-to, so I would just select this, play Britons, and have a good time. Now, I've actually played a game with Britons already, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at it in the saved and recorded games. Before we get into that, I've got my sponsored message from the video, and I really want to let you guys know, or want to ask you guys rather, what you guys think of this format as well. But before that, let's take a look at the sponsor. It's going to be, you guessed it, DrSquatch for this one. I've got their soap right here. So DrSquatch is a all-natural soap company or personal care company, soap, shampoos, all that jazz. And they have 100% natural products. They smell amazing. I wish you can smell them. That's sell themselves. But they also use 100% environment-friendly packaging as well. So it's like all natural, environment-friendly. And you can use code Hera at their website for 20% off. I'll leave a link to their website below in the description, so you guys can definitely take a look there. Remember, I don't sponsor products that I don't believe in or I don't use myself. I use these myself after they sent me them, so it's actually a really good product. And I stay away from all sponsorships that I don't actually believe in. And I've denied tons and tons, but this one is something that's actually very good. So I definitely recommend you give DrSquatch a try. Without further ado, let's hop into the game. I played with MBL earlier today. And let's see how you guys like this format. So let's go to this section here. Perfect stuff. And okay, so we're going to do a recorded game here. And we're going to do it from my perspective, of course. And just kind of comment on the game in general and what I was thinking with Britons at the time. So I'm going to tone down my speed as well for my scrolling. So hopefully that doesn't give you guys too much dizziness or anything like that. But anyway, here we have 1v1 game, and I'm playing as the Britons. My opponent here is MBL. He's playing as... sorry. How can I see these days? How can I see a civilization? Anyway, he's playing as the Koreans here. He's playing as the Koreans, and I'm playing as the Britons. And generally, you know, like I said, I want to get into crossbows as fast as possible. So let's go ahead and analyze my map and see exactly what I'm thinking here. So I see that I have got some wood options here, here, and here at the top. If I can just scroll out here a little bit, I do notice I have some really easy walls right off the bat. So I have these walls here, and I have these walls here. If we go to my fog of war, you can see that I'm already scouting that my map is pretty easy to wall here. The only problem is the front gold and front stone, but I noticed I got a back gold, and I noticed I've got a back gold as well. So my map is very nice. I can wall up my map, I can go for a nice DrSquatch castle, and get into those crossbow options that I talked about. So that's very appealing to me as a Briton player, to get into crossbows as fast as possible. So I'm pretty much sold on my strategy here. I want to go for a Drush FC, but because I don't want to, you know, just go for a later Drush after my mill, that probably won't achieve much because I know my opponent MBL is very solid, you know, very solid player who's not going to really fall for a Drush that comes in a bit later. So I wanted my Drush to go in as fast as possible. For that reason, I go for a Drush before I put my mill. I'm going to go for a pre-mill Drush, as we call it in the business, and I'm actually dropping that builder today, hopefully, in my Discord. So if you guys want to join my Discord and get access to my builders, including the pre-mill Drush, which has been very popular recently amongst pro players, check the Discord link in the description and join. And for all subs to my Twitch stream, they'll get access to all of my builders, including that new pre-mill Drush. So let's take a look here. I'm going for that early barracks. And, you know, before this, it's really just standard gameplay. This gives me a little bit of a hard time, though. Guys, this is my first game of the day, this one. So the mechanical play, it was not great. I'll give you that. Although I do think I did play pretty well with the strategy, and that's why I want to showcase it. So bringing in my second boar now. I got the barracks going down, and I'm looking to get the 3 militia out nice and early. So my opponent here, MBL, he's playing as the Koreans. Not that really the best 1v1 Arabia Civ, but they have some decent options versus Britons, namely in their cheaper skirmishers and in their nice towers. So we'll see if he can get onto some of those nice options. And we can see him luring deer. He's a little bit greedy because he's going to give up some scouting information, and he's not going to actually scout them going for this primo Drush. So that's maybe a little bit dangerous for him. He did there already 2 deer, so I think you know, it's hard to call that a mistake, but it's definitely a trade-off for sure. Meanwhile, for me, I'm just getting some nice scouting information here. And so my plan is to go for some militia while also walling up my base. You'll see me walling up my map, you know, nice and quickly here. I don't rush to wall in too much, but I do send more than 1 villager because I do want to make sure I'm fully walled before MBL retaliates with his Drush or his men at arms. I'm not sure what he's doing, but I do know he's not going for a primo Drush because I did scout his area. Okay, so now my Drush is moving across the map, and what I'm thinking in this case is I want to get as much damage as possible, as much guaranteed damage. So I don't want to walk through here, even though it's the nice, you know, fastest way to get damage, because he probably has some walls or at least some vision here with the houses. So I decide to be a little bit sneaky. I'm going to go around the base and attack his berries. So we get attacked a little bit here, but I got Loom just in time, actually. I had a feeling this would happen, so I got Loom just to stay safe, and I did just that. I stayed safe. And I'm also walling up my map with a couple villagers. There it is, walling to the top. And this is a good time to wall, right? It's 8 minutes. It's before he's going to get feudal age. And it's while I'm attacking my opponent. So this is exactly what a Drush does, guys. It buys you some time and lets you fully wall your map, or at least transition to the next step in your game plan, which in my case was wall into fast castle. You'll also notice I don't go for the main gold. I'm going to actually go for the back gold because I know his retaliation might be a tower rush, because he's playing as Korean, so I'm already thinking ahead here. I'm already planning ahead. In goes my Drush. He reacts pretty fast, actually. I was quite impressed with that. But I'm still getting exactly what I want. Just some small harassment. And I might even, if I'm lucky, get a villager. And there it is. Hera's lucky today, and that's already, you know, damage done. MBL does a nice job getting away with this villager. And, well, I'm still getting some harassment. Forcing him off berries is a pretty nice feat as well. And yeah, just gonna continue to harass. So meanwhile here, MBL, what's your plan? MBL, well, he's kind of in a bit of a pickle here. Might even lose the second villager if he's not careful. I could have hit that with my scout. I'm actually terrible at this game. Wow, that should have been a second vill down. But that's okay, Hera, it happens, no worry. You definitely do suck though. And it looks like MBL is going to be going for men-at-arms. He's got 2 men-at-arms going. Weird that it's only 2. Again, not sure if I agree with that decision, but he's not desperate for retaliation, but he wants some retaliation. Bit of sloppy micro from me, but overall pretty good cleanup from MBL. Take out my scout here and escape with his 1 HP scout. That's going to be pretty useful for him later. And then meanwhile at home, I'm fully walled here. Fully walled, and I'm going to take this back gold. I'm just taking 20 here just to bring it back to my town center. And again, very messy eco because it's first game of the day. Again, I apologize for that. A lot of idols. A lot of idols around. But hey, I got some pretty nice trades. I got 1 villager at least and lost a lot of idle time. And now MBL will retaliate with some towers. So pretty much exactly as I thought he would react with the tower rush. It's exactly what he's ending up doing. It's not that I was some sort of genius predicting this. It's just that it's natural with Koreans to want to respond to the tower rush because that's one of their strengths, especially versus the Britons going for a fast castle. So he's got the men-at-arms here. He actually adds a 3rd now, which is now more of a common men-at-arm rush. And he's going to follow it up with some towers. At this point, I'm going to go for some water because hydration is important. All right. And let's see what the tower rush can accomplish here. So the first step here, from my point of view, by the way, my drush is dying out, so I just send 1 militia to scout randomly. At this point, I have more vills, but I'm still on the way up to feudal age. So, you know, technically, I'm not up 2 vills. I'm up only the 1 vill that I killed. So now I see the tower rush. After I see the tower rush, my plan is very simple. I'm going to try to wall him out of my base, and then transition into an archery range. Couple archers out, and then go for my fast castle. I'm not going to change my plan. You can see me dropping the walls now, and this should be a really smooth defense for me. And keyword is should, because sometimes it doesn't go as planned, and we'll see in a second what exactly happens. I think I did a mistake to wall with palisade. I should have walled with houses. It's a little bit stronger. Palisades are slightly weaker than houses, and for that reason I might be in a little bit of a pickle. You see me now house walling behind this one, and I've got the range going up as well. So I'm doing my best to defend against this rush from MBL, and he's doing a good job attacking me as well. So he's got the nice tower, tower defense in front of my base here. I go for a blacksmith, but unfortunately it's in range of the tower, so I'm forced to delete it and rebuild it here. But the men-at-arms go inside, and you're gonna see some panic mode here in a second. By the way, vill count is now even because I probably had some idle time. And yeah, this is not one of my proudest moments. MBL does a really good play here. His scout is on 1 HP, but he's never gonna let me hit it. I could have hit it there, but I was kind of just panicking a little bit, and now all of a sudden his men-at-arms are on my base, so I'm in a bit of a pickle. I'm trying not to panic too much though. Remember, you never want to panic when your opponent's attacking you. I fail my quick wall, so a lot of things are going poorly here for me. I abandoned this wood line. I have to abandon the gold now. I do kill the scout finally. That was annoying me, and I'm just trying to keep an eye on everything here. I'll zoom out to get a little bit of a better view. So I'm trying to really get my villagers back to work on straggly trees wherever I can. I do lose a vill, and now I'm massing my archers. So this is the worst case scenario that could have happened for me. He got into my base and he's doing a lot of damage, idling vills, killing a villager, and forcing me to run around with my villagers as well. So this is again not one of my proudest moments, but I think played pretty well from MBL here. And I'm trying to get back to my gold now. I'm using my archers to defend. Can't go back just yet because of the men-at-arms. He has to snipe the low HP vill here, I think. But I ran him away. I Hera snipe you, man. You don't Hera snipe me. And so yeah, now I'm just using my archers to defend. And meanwhile, MBL is kind of stuck doing tower rushes outside of my base just to harass my wood line. But again, I have a second wood line here, so I'm not too worried about getting harassed at all here. And I'm just using my archers now to kick away his men-at-arms. Now behind this, MBL most likely going to try to go for Castle Age himself and go for those guard towers that are pretty solid. He's also walling up his base and keeping that secure at home to keep himself safe from any counterattack I might have in Castle Age. Okay, so at this point, again, just really trying to go for Castle Age. Again, my plan didn't change, but there was a bit of a bit of a rough patch in my eco, just to make it as as vague as possible. A bit of a disaster in my eco, which slowed me down, but it didn't change my strategy. My strategy is still the same: rush fast castle. It's just been delayed a little bit. And I finally cleared out the 3-minute arms that caused me a lot of grief, and now I'm gonna be clicking up the castle edge there. So again, way later than your standard fast castle. I'm probably like 2-3 minutes delayed because I got hit with this tower rush. That's definitely well played on MBL's part. And now villager count is 1 ahead for me. I think that's maybe because he has wheelbarrow. Yeah, that's because he has wheelbarrow. The actual count is probably something like he's up 1 or 2 bills, because I had a lot of idle time, I believe. All right. So now I'm just trying to balance out my eco. I'm up faster to castle age. I also have units. My opponent has mainly just towers here, so I still think I'm in the better position because towers, they're not as flexible as units can be in. They can be annoying, yes, but like I said, units, they can have a little bit more impact on the map because they can actually move around. So I do think I'm in a good position now. I'm just now getting some upgrades. Horse collar double bit axe came in. Fletching is now coming in. And so my eco's in a good position. Again, I only lost 1 villager. Now that all my villas are working, I'm in a decent position. And I'm going to be looking to drop 2 extra TCs in the castle age as well. And I'm playing with archers. So nice little play for me. I delete a house to get a villager pick. He hits the zebra. He hits the zebra. That's why I always kill those. You don't want to misclick the zebra. Bit of an unfortunate situation there for him. But yeah, now he's in a situation where his towers aren't really accomplishing anything besides just getting him map control. Like, he didn't really force him off any resources. He just kind of has map control in front of my main gold and a stone, which it has value, don't get me wrong, but it's not as much value as making my villagers idle or forcing them off wood. That being said, I'm going to prevent him from getting this tower. I'm not sure if this is a mistake. One could argue that I should have, at this point, when out of the castle age, instantly attack my opponent, and I do think that would have been a good decision. However, as you can see, he already has a tower defense. He already is fully walled, and I kind of expected that defense to be set up. So I made the decision to stick around near this tower and just try to deny it as much as possible. Again, whether it was a good play or not, I'm not sure. But this is what I decided, and I do think it ends up being pretty decent, to say the least. So, denying the tower, forcing him to go back. Sloppy losing an archer there, but not the end of the world. And at this point, just trying to harass him again. This tower, 84%. He really wants to get that one up, and I missed on this archer a little bit. Yeah, so at this point, I'm just gonna get 3 TCs: the one on the stone and one on the wood. The reason I want onto stone is because I actually need to mine stone because I want to get a castle. At this point, and either he hits castle age, it's pretty dangerous. Koreans can continue tower rushing. They could also add in some siege and pressure my town center, but a castle will completely stuff this push. And that's exactly what I'm thinking here. So MBL gets Bodkin arrow right away for his towers, and is also going to try to do some tower defense at home while booming up. You see the town center going down and more towers going up because he's scared of my counterattack. But again, I'm not really interested in the counterattack. 1 HP, really, man. I'm more interested in harassing these villagers and preventing him from getting this tower up. That's kind of my plan, while just getting a nice boom going. This is the power of Britons. I'm able to afford 3 town centers right away in Castle Age. Again, because I was a little delayed, I gathered a little bit more resources. I'm able to afford 3 town center production with full bills. My opponent, though, on the other hand, only with the 2, because again, he got regular price town centers. So obviously he's doing towers as well, which will slow him down. But Britons, they just go up to the 3TC boom so fast, and this is why they're really dangerous on Arabia. I'm making crossbows and at the same time 3TC booming. This is the standard Briton gameplay here in Castle Age, exactly where I want to be. And I'm just again preventing him from getting the tower down, preventing him from continuing his tower rush and forcing 3 bills to idle, which I think is pretty adequate damage here in the Castle Age. So at this point, once I have 3 TCs, the next steps start to open up. So as you can see, I'm just making farms, just getting villager production, make sure I don't get housed, all that jazz. But the next step is going to be something like either a castle or a monastery to pick up relics, a seed shop if needed, or maybe even a university for ballistics. I've got like 4 or 5 options that could come up here. The ultimate goal, though, is to get to Imperial Age and go for some Arbalest or some range units. He goes for a tower here. At this point, I'm thinking, you know what? I already forced another tower. After well, hold on, I pick off 1 or 2 bills here, I think. Yeah, she goes down, so that's 2 bills for me. But he's gonna get his towers up, and you know what? At this point, I'm like, you know what? This is enough damage. I'm gonna just run away from this area and maybe go attack his base. So I think I forced enough damage. I killed 2 vills and forced him to make 2 more towers than he wanted to, I think. Or at least 1 extra tower than he wanted to. So I got some good damage. And again, it's not game any damage, but because I had my 3 TCs, look at the villager count now. 47 for him, or 48, 59 for me. I'm up 10 villagers. And that's, again, because of the 3 town center Britain boom, and because I was slightly faster to the castle age. And now my opponent's going to go for a siege workshop and a stable. Not sure why the stable, but the siege workshop makes sense for some extra siege to get the pressure down. But again, I planned it from before. The castle is now going down. That completely stuffs this push. The castle also does a couple other things. It lets me make Longbowmen, which I said are slightly better than Arbalest in the late game. So it's a nice transition if I want to make it. And also, I have the option to make some trebs, which I can be upgraded to werewolf trebs. I actually kill 1 villager here in exchange for 2 crossbows, or 4, sorry, in exchange for 4 crossbows. Which is not bad, but I'm also going to attack him with these crossbows that are left over from the castle age. 12 crossbows can do pretty good damage. And MBL is just making more towers on the front, but again, they're not really accomplishing anything besides pushing me off the main gold, which doesn't really matter because I've got this back gold as well, 2 back gold. So, you can argue that my map definitely played a big role in me not dying to the tower rush. But on the other hand, just sneaking around with the Briton archers also plays a pretty big role. And also the archers preventing him from really getting that tower rush going. So even with a slightly weaker map, Britons are really good at defending this kind of tower rush situation. And making this castle for me doesn't really hurt. Like, I want a castle here anyways. His towers kind of didn't accomplish anything, and now they're all going down. On the other side, now I've got 12 crossbows here. The village lead is still around 10 extra for me. And now I'm looking to extend my villager lead by damaging my opponent here. So I'm going to quickly get some picks here. He does, again, a pretty good reaction. Not the best, but it's a weird position for him. He loses a few vills, but keeps my my expos kind of under the tower for a little bit. And I'm going to pick off a couple more vills. And at this point, it's a really interesting decision. I don't plan to mass more crossbows. In fact, I'm planning a longbow switch. Remember I said the longbow is slightly better in Imperial Age. Again, I keep bringing that up. And the crossbows will just go in and do as much damage as possible. These guys are, I know they will die. I just want to get the most kind of payback as possible. And you'll see me play super aggressively with these crossbows. On this tower, I might go in a bit deeper later. And on the front, he still hasn't done a whole lot. He's got a siege push that's kind of having to go around now. He's losing a lot of vills. So now I'm up 20 villagers. Instead of being up just a 10, I'm up 20 vills. His eco is hurt, and my eco is completely, chilling and completely ready for Imperial Age very soon. MBL still has close to 0 food here, which is not ideal. So I might get a couple more villas here, pick that one off. And again, I'm just going super deep. I want to get the most amount of damage from these guys as possible. And they'll eventually get cleared up, sure. But I'll just get the most damage as possible and call it a day. So we're just going to camp here, and that's the end of these crossbows' life. I might even run into the TC. I'm not sure what happens to these. But anyway, we'll keep an eye. But meanwhile, he's attacking me on the front, and I'm already switching to the longbows and up to Imperial Age. So, as you can see, I played it textbook Britain gameplay. Not saying I played well mechanically. I think I played really poorly mechanically. But strategically, this is exactly what you want to do with Britons. Small crosses in Castle Age, and then transition into that late game eco, that mid game eco with the TCs, then transition to the solid late game with either Longbow or Arbalest. Both are good. Longbow being slightly better once again, especially against bombard cannons. And I'm getting my second caster for more longbow production. And I'm also sneaking some vills because I don't want to get boxed into my base. I want to expand. Very important to expand as you're going up to Imperial Age. These guys will get cleaned up by 1 knight from him. And overall, I'm in a pretty good position. So, like, at this point, again, just working my way to Imperial Age, which I will play longbows. And I might see what else I would add. I could add halberdier, I could add light cav. I could even add onager as a decent option as well in the late game with my longbows. There's a lot of options really with Britons. But we'll see what I go for here. Just microing down a mangonel. And again, with 5+3 range, it's just so easy to micro versus mangonels. And also 6 attack with the longbow. Makes you do 2 damage per shot. Very strong. Yeah, he's forced to repair, and this is fine for me. Like, I'm not losing anything by doing this at all. Just gonna keep, maintain my distance. It's very simple to do this with the actual range. Once again, very low risk. But anyway, he's got some couple mangonels that won't do a whole lot. While I'm getting close to Imperial Age here, I think I took a shot there. Hera. Not the end of the world, but still some damage done. And now, yeah, the split's on. Okay. Looks good. So again, pretty clean micro there, if I can say so myself. And again, it's really just because of the extra range from the Britons, and now with the extra 2 range makes it very easy to micro those down. Bracer chemistry coming in. and more longbows being produced. So now I'm in a very good position overall, and I'm looking as the to the next steps of the game. I have more town centers, constantly producing villages. By the way, just because you get the Imperial Age doesn't mean you stop your village production. But now it's really about hill control and map control in the late game. Gonna go attack with my longbows here. I've got a ton of range on these guys, so they can be very, very powerful. Alright, let's see what I can accomplish here. Alright, so just quickly marching in. Picks off a villager nice and easily, and just getting as much damage as possible. And behind this, getting out my trebs to clear up his towers. And propel me into that mid-late game. I actually forgot Bowsaw there. Not the best, but not terrible. I'll pick it up now. And again, I'm playing aggressive with my units. These guys, I kind of want to mass them up, so maybe I shouldn't play too aggressively with them. Gotta maybe go back a little bit. And looks like MBL is getting a university now for probably ballistics and maybe arrow slits as well. Gets a couple shots on these guys as I retreat. And he's looking to go into skirmishers. And I see that, by the way. I did click the buildings. I did know that he was going for ranges. And I expect skirmishers for sure, because that's what makes sense. So now that I know he's going skirmishers, I can start investing into my counter unit. And there it is. Light cav is going to be my plan, which is going to propel me into kind of like longbow light cav composition with trebs as my siege. Remember, one siege unit, which is my trebs, one gold unit, which is my longbow, and one trash unit, aka no gold costing unit, my light cav. Textbook composition, really good for the situation. We'll see how it plays out. And I'm just picking up the hills. Again, at this point, I'm like 20 villas ahead. I've got an Imperial Age advantage. There's no stress on me to end the game. So I want to just get as much advantage as possible. I know the Britain late game is also very strong. Remember, I talked about their solid options in the late game, so I'm more than happy to play a late game versus Koreans here. And I'm dropping now down a bunch of stables as I pick up the hills and look to just continue trebbing down his towers. I've also reclaimed my main gold and some extra stone here, my secondary stone, so that's pretty good for me. But MBL, of course, wants to keep that denied, so he's going to just go for another rush on this left side and grab this one hill. That's actually a very smart decision from him. Probably his best win condition is to keep this gold denied and maybe take out this caster from the hill. So he's going to go for some towers here. And he's now mixing in some skirmishes as well. The problem is towers and skirms, both of those units kind of die to light cav or to cavalry raiding in general. Towers don't do amazing versus light cav, so that's kind of my plan, is to switch into those light cav now. And I'm just trying to get as much raiding as possible with my longbows, snag a villager where I can. Not the biggest deal at this point, but I am up 20 villagers, which is really nice. And securing the hills with castles. Light cav transition, few eco upgrades coming in now. And again, this is why Britons are so strong in Northern Arabia. They have that sick mid game, and it propels them into a really smooth late game as well, with that light cav longbow or light cav arbalest composition. And yeah, just gonna try to trip him down. Not gonna overstep though. At this point, we can fast forward a tiny bit here as we're just making our plays, setting up our late game kind of late game pushes, so to speak. And he's going for towers on the left side with some maybe bomber cannons, and I'm going with trebs down the center. Population difference is quite large, 25 at the moment, and my position is a lot more spread out than his. His position is really crammed here and only kind of expanding for towers, whereas I'm kind of expanding my eco, getting the extra golds and the extra stones, and he's only now pushing out with towers to try and secure those. And as soon as he pushes out with a tower, I'm already trebbing it with my trebs, so it's kind of in a bad position right now for him in the late game. He's got very stationary units, whereas I've got very mobile units with my army here. And I don't go for elite longbow, which I think is a mistake. I think I should have gotten it, but I instead used my resources on mass light cav, which is not a bad idea. But I think getting elite longbow first would have been pretty good. Would have helped me clear out his skirmishers and do more damage. Something to consider for the next time for me. But nonetheless, the light cav are going to do quite a nice job in clearing out some of his units. And, and now I'm just trying to trap down his towers on the front. But he's got some bomber cannons, and this is one of Korean strength versus Britons. They've got bomber towers, bomber cannons, and bomber towers. And my trebs will die to those. I'm too late with the repair. He gets a nice little snag there. I'm not too happy about it. But I'm going to send in my light cav now to deal with those bomber cannons. Alright, and remember, my archers in the front with 5+5 range can easily snipe bomber cannons as well. These guys aren't fully upgraded. I'm missing yeomen, and I'm missing elite longbow, so a lot of upgrades missing here, and that's, like I said, I think that's a mistake, because I can actually afford yeomen at the very least here. But nonetheless, I'm playing a pretty good composition, besides the small mistakes with the upgrades. And I'm now going to try and pick up some relics as it goes to late game. Might as well secure those relics, and just going for this Again, mass light cap with trebs and lombos. It's exactly how we talked about it in the theory, and this just shows that the theory actually works. If you don't panic in in the mid game and kind of deviate from your game plan, this plan works. The theory just works so well in practice. And granted, NBL maybe not having the best civ to counter the Britons, but still, it was a pretty smooth kind of road to victory with the Britons, because I just stuck to what they're good at and didn't try and deviate too much and go for some sort of crazy knight attack or crazy siege pressure and castle age. Really not what they're good at. They're good at a small boom into Imperial Age into their strong mid game or strong early imp options here. Again, can't emphasize that enough. You don't want to play long castle age. You really want to play that imp. And at this point, NBL, he just gets the feeling that I can do this all day. Next trap comes out. I've got light cav around. I've got full map control, 200 pop, and NBL kind of struggling to hit that 200 pop. Still at 160 now, and he's making a tech switch to Halberdier, but he sees the ramps coming out. He's gonna lose his forward base, no doubt about that. And there's not really a whole lot he can do. He's getting pushed back here, and he's also getting pushed on the front here with these lombos. He can't really approach them with the skirmishers because I have a few light cav that can just come and disturb the lines of the skirms, and it's gonna be very hard for him to do anything here. And he just taps out here. G to the G is called, and honestly, that was a really good showcase of what Britons is capable of and how Britons should be played in this 1v1 Arabia format. I hope you guys learned something from this kind of transitions. Just to quickly recap here, it was crossbows and castle age, defending his, or sorry, drush, then full wall, then crossbows and castle age, defending his rush. Didn't do a good job, but it did an okay job of it. And then just going for that early 3TC boom, propel me to a 10 villager lead, and then use my +1 range crossbows to oppress my opponent in castle age to really shut him down, and then going straight to Imperial Age and playing that kind of either longbow or arbalest, that ranged unit, foot archer unit, and then with trebs as my siege unit, and maybe light cav or halberdier as my trash unit. Works super well. Highly recommend you guys try out the civ if you're looking for some archer civs to play with. And again, in late game, so many more options coming out. I've got cap rams that I could go for. Upgrade is almost done, and I'm not afraid to go for a lot of different options here to answer what my opponent's throwing at me. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one game. Again, I'm trebling it down at all sides here, taking out his towers. Hope you guys enjoyed this game. Again, let me know what you guys think of this format. If you guys prefer live games, do let me know. I'm really open to anything from you guys. And but expect the series or one episode of the series every Saturday from now on the YouTube only. So once again, thanks for watching, everyone. Let's take a look at the stats and call it a day. And just extra villagers for me here. I just have more villagers than him because of that early 3D. Alright, catch you guys next time. See ya.